town with places to eat, places to drink, places to gather.
There's not really much surrounding Moscow, rolling hills of just wheat fields and various other farms. Small town feel. I think it's roughly 25,000 people, give or take a couple thousand.
I think of North Idaho as a pretty off-the-map type of place, pretty safe place, very family-friendly, and to have 4 murders and then the guys just running around on the loose is a little unnerving.
Weeks after the murders of Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves, no arrest had been made. To the point that a lot of the students there on campus had cleared out because there was this fear among the community, and even some of the victims' family members had fears that the investigation was stalled.
I had private investigators and different things, and that's why they told me to slow down, Steve. You know, this thing, you know, me as a father, it's never fast enough, and I want to just charge ahead like probably just like a dumbass, but that's what I knew.
What the families and the public didn't know was that the detectives had some significant evidence and leads, including DNA and a potential eyewitness. At the time of the murders, according to investigators, Kaylee and Maddie were on the 3rd floor of the house in Maddie's room. Kaylee's dog Murphy was across the hall in Kaylee's room. Ethan and Xana were a floor below. Across from them was Dylan Mortensen, and on the 1st floor was Bethany Funk, who was in her room.
Dylan will be a key witness in all this because she's on the same floor as 2 of the murders. And she opens her door 3 different times. Now, the first couple of times, she really didn't see anything, but she was hearing voices. Maybe it was the dog. Maybe somebody was crying or something. She wasn't quite clear what she heard. But the 3rd time she opens the door, she sees this tall figure dressed in all dark colors, and she noticed his bushy eyebrows. And then this man walks right past her.
Imagine what it would be like to be a young woman who opens the door and sees this man all in black, and all you really see are his eyebrows, and he's tall and he's big. And he just killed 4 people with a knife. He walks right past you and out the door. How close to death were you? It gives me shivers to just think about what that is. And that must just roll through her head every single day. Yeah, that's gonna stick with a jury.
According to investigators, Dylan described herself as being in, quote, frozen shock when she saw a man inside her home in the middle of the night. She was so scared, she locked herself in her bedroom. But the thing that raised eyebrows is that nobody did anything about it. In fact, 911 was not called until noon the next day, about 8 hours after the estimated time of the murders.
Some people, when they're very frightened, they just shut down and they tend to isolate and hide, and basically it's a seeking safety response. If she had been drinking or under the influence of something, she might have just shut down because she really didn't know what to do.
The major piece of evidence that the public didn't know about was a knife sheath left behind likely by the killer. It was found partly under Madison Mogan's body and the comforter on her bed. On the snap of that knife sheath was DNA.
So investigators had DNA from the crime scene, and they took the DNA and they ran it through the National Crime Database, and there were no hits, no matches. But the DNA was still useful because you could eliminate potential suspects. And there were a lot of them. Not only ones that law enforcement was looking at, but a whole bunch that people online, all those true crime sleuths that are out there, were looking at as well.
I'd made a video a few weeks ago. Jeremy Regan was included in that video, and a lot of people since then have said that he seemed very suspicious or he was the murderer.
My name is Jeremy Regan, and I live just a couple doors down from where the murders happened.
I first met Jeremy Regan about a week after the murders. He was a neighbor of the girls on King Road. Once people saw Jeremy on camera, many started to speculate that he possibly was the killer. What was it like to be accused of something so horrible?
Offensive. They watched my interview and they said, hey, he's kind of weird. It must be him. And so then they dug into everything I ever did on social media, stuff that my parents had posted about me, taking everything super far out of context. For some people, it was definitely worse than others. I know the various Jacks and Jakes, they got hammered.
Jack Decor and Jake Schreiger. These two guys are the boyfriends of Kaylee and Maddie. As a matter of fact, Jack shared a dog, Murph, with Kaylee. So a lot of people are looking at them, and investigators looked at them as well, but cleared them. So law enforcement says these guys are innocent, but the folks online weren't convinced.